Good evening, guys. What we plan to do today is the extension of time, process, procedure, claims, etc. What you would find is when you start your jobs as a planner, no project ever goes to plan. So the idea is that you're able to, in terms of revision of your schedule as per the NEC3 contract or the JCT contracts, you will have to make variations, and you'd have to provide for these variations in your programs, right? So there is a process you have to follow in order to get an extension of time, i.e., say for instance you come across a risk, right, in form of a early warning notice which you have to raise with the employer. You raise it within the program during the subsequent status updates or baseline updates. So say for instance if you do it weekly or bi-weekly, you would have to incorporate the early warning notices in every single one of those programs, right? So say for instance the early warning notice happened this week. In next week's update would have to include the early warning notice within the program, or if we have been told to make provisions for it in the key milestone area of the program, then you put it there. So it's down to whatever it is that the contract data requests. Okay, so we move on swiftly. Sorry, questions after, not now, please. Yeah. Okay, so literally, what is the understanding of extension of times? At what point do you request extension of times? Could one person answer? Hello?
When you realize that there's going to be some delays?
Okay, well, it's called an extension of time, so that's probably a bit too easy to define. I want it in terms of the requirements, definitions, or say for instance non-conformance to contract data, or non-conformance, or a delay to completion date, a delay to plan completion, a delay to access to site, or delay to acceptance. You know, that's the context in which I would prefer the answer be. So in what instances would you expect to prepare an extension of time claim? Can somebody else please answer that question? It's awfully quiet. Hello?
We're all thinking.
Okay, we can't really just go.
I think if there's a... Hello?
Yeah, one at a time, please. Go on.
Hello?
Yeah, go on. We're listening.
Well, if there's a delay to the end date of actual program, and there's no way of having a recovery schedule that will keep the end date in place, this is when we apply for an extension of time.
Okay, you're incorrect.
So if the end date...
Incorrect. Just leave it at that. Somebody else, please. Anybody? Obi? Salma? Naya? Alright, let me pull you out of your misery, right? In relation to the NEC3, right, you have instances where you raise an early warning notice, right? We'll literally go from NEC3 to extension of time, NEC3 to extension of time, okay? Early warning notice is anything that increases total cost, you raise an early warning notice, right? Anything that does impairs contractors' performance, you raise an early warning notice, right? Anything that impairs quality or performance or the usefulness of the goods, you raise an early warning notice, right? And anything that affects planned completion, you raise an early warning notice. Now, with that in hindsight, that would mean that any issues or any risks to the project for which you have raised the early warning notice that may have an impact on the delivery date, the contract completion date itself, not necessarily just the planned completion, because what you would have is the contractors start raising early warning notices for any and everything on the project. So as soon as they highlight or they hit a snag, they'll raise an early warning notice. So what you would have is, if these early warning notices are not controlled or managed in an accurate manner, you end up with an information overload within the program for majority of issues that are not closed out within a time frame. So when you have these meetings, you have to sit and discuss within all of the teams that are relevant. You have to assign responsibility of these issues to a particular party, not necessarily accountability, responsibility. So understand the difference between accountability and responsibility in the context of contract administration, as well as the risk meetings or risk mitigation meetings. Okay, so in terms of accountability, that means the buck stops with that person. Responsibility just means performance of a task or an activity. Okay, so in the context of a delay, what would happen is you highlight the tasks, you highlight the risks, you check to see if they're on the risk register. If they ain't, you include them on the risk register, a description of the risks, actions to be taken to either avoid or reduce, or the actions to be taken by who or what. Okay, so once you've done that, the next step would then be to document this delay. Okay, so in terms of documentation of the delay, what sort of information would you include when you document the delay? What sort of information would you include?
Why there is the delay, like maybe what other contractors have caused it,
Yes.
how long it's going to be, what implication, the amount of money, yeah, all those kind of things.
Okay, well, the money
Sorry, can I repeat
aspect.
the question again?
The question is, what sort of information would you require? Yeah, when you've highlighted obviously the risk, the early warning notices, etc. Right?
You keep on cutting.
Okay. When you highlight, what sort of information will you highlight within?
Can everyone hear Steve? Like, is he clear? Is it smooth on everyone's side?
Hello.
I can't hear nothing at the moment.
Hello.
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear everybody perfectly.
You there, Steve?
I can hear everybody perfectly.
Oh, okay, you come back in. Yeah.
All right. So basically.
Okay, yeah. You come back now. You cut out for a little bit. Yeah, you're back.
Okay, so all we're trying to say is, that the sort of information that you would include within the documentation that you aim to send off for application for an extension of time, you look at the critical path, you highlight obviously the activity paths, you highlight if there's any concurrency, you also check in the contract documentation to make sure or to see if there are any contractual clauses that involve or that assign accountability of any delays from the employer, either via his representatives, i.e. the architects or the design team, etc., depending on whether or not, as I said, they novate it over to you. So it could be in terms of approval gateways, in terms of your drawings, in terms of your GA drawings, right? So say for instance your schedules, your drawing schedules, your door schedules, windows, foundation works, enabling works, MEP works, mechanical, electrical, plumbing works, all of those packages will all require drawings, even down to the last bolt or the pins or the bracings, the stud work, the cranes. They all will require design drawings, right, which will go for approval. Okay, the strategy in which you aim to execute the contract will have all of this information in the project execution plan. Okay, so if it's given out to a main contractor, that main contractor will obviously have outlined all of the different plans all the way through the PEP, right? So if you as an individual, you went to the PEP, you read the PEP to see if all of the hello? Is everyone there?
Yes, can hear you. Hello?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. So basically, all of those bits of information,
you keep on cutting out. On my side, you keep on cutting out.
Okay, well, you know it's internet, innit? So there's not much I could do about that. I'm literally talking into the computer. Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, so what we're trying to do here is identify the bits of information that's required to go into an extension of time preparation pack. Yeah. Now, I've chosen this research paper, yeah, for the EOT claim preparation. In here, they identify quite a few things that they believe should go into it. Okay. As you can tell, it says a well-defined scope of the project, which you would always find in the project execution plan. Majority of the project execution plans are created either by the project manager or the planner. So as a planner, you would probably be acting as a process or facilitator, because you would have liaised with all the different teams, all the different team members, i.e. the construction managers, the estimators, the QSs, the PM himself, the procurement team, the design coordinators, all of them, right? Everyone who has a stake in the project, literally, you would have sat with them and discussed the different rationales, the different alternatives for how the work is going to be, performed, literally. You talk about the durations, you talk about the deliverables, you talk about deliverable requirements as well, scope in, scope out. All of the sheets on the scope need to be defined, every single bit, and then you highlight activities that go with each of the scope. So it's sitting down with all the responsible parties who are going to perform those tasks, and then you further disseminate it into activities, basically. Now, what they're saying is here, definition of the scope and contractual milestones or sectional completion dates. By sectional completion dates, usually on a site, you would have requirements of dates by which you have to meet certain key milestones. I.e., if we're building a 25-story building, they may say to you, the developer may say to you as the main contractor, we want you to hand over these, hand over them in sections of 5, or in sections of 5 floors. So say for instance now they say to you, the ground floor you'd hand over, ground floor, first floor, second floor on the 15th of October. Then third floor, fourth floor, fifth floor, we want you to hand them in a week after the finish of the third floor. That's what they call sectional completion. So it could be zoned out or it could be locationed out. Do you understand? So you could have block A, zone 1, block B, zone 2, or the comms room. Do you understand? Communications room. You want to obviously get the comms room put through before or completed before a particular time. Or you want to get the lobby area, if it's a commercial, put through at a certain time. Or you want to hand over 10 apartments at a go every week for the next 10 weeks till it completes the whole 100 and whatever number of apartments it is. On average, for any high-rise building, you're bound to probably have anywhere between 90 to 115 apartments, okay? And on average, the handover from start of partitioning for the services is usually between 22 weeks for the normal standard apartments to 26 weeks for the higher end apartments. And then it could go up to at least probably 32 to 36 weeks for the what do they call them again? Penthouse apartments. Thank you. Okay. Now, the reason for that is, right, the first fix activities will usually run through a duration of about 8 weeks. Okay. And then the second fix will usually run through another duration of about 8 weeks. So that's 16 weeks for first fix and second fix, right? With enough time in between trades, through the interfaces, etc. Okay? The reason why I'm trying to explain this is so that when we go into the finer detail of the extension of times claims, you can understand how much detail you have to go down to in terms of your critical path or your activity path to try and understand how you apportion responsibility or accountability of float, of concurrency, etc. Okay? So 8 weeks, that's 16 weeks, and we said 22 weeks. So the third fixes will usually be the last bits, which are the parts you can see. Okay, so they would usually run from about, if we've said 8 weeks, that's 16. I've said 22, so the last third fix will probably go for about 6 weeks to 7 weeks. Okay, so let's just say on average 23. All right, altogether you're gonna.
Mute
Hello?
Sorry, Steve, go on, please. Someone was making noise in the background.
Anyway. Yeah, so literally that's how it runs, okay? So if we now go back, you would very rarely get extension of times for any works from framing, okay? So from framing, the idea is that you would already have taken possession of the site, number one. Ground floor to, let's just say, for instance, hypothetically speaking,
Sorry, Steve. Sorry, can whoever's doing something on the background mute their microphone so that it doesn't keep. We don't hear what you're saying because I'm struggling to hear now.
Hello?
I can still hear water running. Can they just mute the microphone?
Hello?
Jesus Christ.
I don't think it's water running. I think it's just the static. It's just a speaker. It's just somewhat static.
No, but it's just the person doesn't know how to. Go on.
Hi, hello? Okay, so can we continue?
Yeah.
Okay. Just a second. You see all of these disruptions, man. Honestly, like, guys, we're all grown folks out here, man. I mean, this shouldn't be happening. Anyway, the requirements A to K, as you can tell, prepare project specific risk register, which will usually have color, please, which would usually have, as I said, a description of the risks, etc. All of the information here. Just take a quick second, about 10 seconds, to read through what the requirements are. Defining all project stakeholders, defining required strategies to deal with each stakeholder. Basically, just a pointed accountability. Do you understand? So if there's no accountability, you can't really pin an extension of time for a delay or a disruption. And usually the delays or the disruptions will always center around non-conformance, i.e. the access dates, not just access dates, but access dates and what's this thing called again? Acceptance. Usually either approval gateways for drawings. Say for instance now you've got a schedule for construction of footings, right? The design coordinators have sent the specifications in for approval with the client's representative architecture, right? It usually would take 10 days for them to prepare it, and then another 5 days to 7 days for them to comment on it and return. Now if the 7 days exceeds and you've eaten up all the float, what happens? Who's responsible for that? Would that be the employer? Yes, it will be, right? Because the most important part of the whole process of any project is usually the technical phase or the engineering phase or the design phase. They all mean the same thing, okay? This is the concept feasibility stage. So if you get issues wrong at that stage, it's going to cost you a hell of a lot of money as the project obviously progresses, right? So you have to make sure that you're managing quality from the onset. You have to select whether or not you're going to go for a strategy of prevention or a strategy of inspection. Now, there are two ways. I've said prevention and inspection. Why have I said prevention and why have I said inspection? Can anybody highlight just off the top? Do not feel any way. Just say what you first thing that comes to your head. Why have I chosen a strategy for prevention and a strategy for inspection? From a quality perspective, bearing in mind that anything to do with quality means administering or performing to the required standards. right? So basically you're saying conformance to the deliverables. So why would I be thinking about prevention
So like you said on Saturday,
and inspection?
That's
yeah, it's like you said on Saturday, you said quality assurance, that's inspection, right?
the risk management, isn't it? Qualitative risk management.
No, sorry, this is not risk management. This is a strategy for quality management.
You said on Saturday.
There's quality. You're basically what you do in the planning your quality. You have a quality plan, yeah. As you can see here, part of the project execution plan, you will have a quality plan in there as well, right? Which will outline all of the process procedures. It will outline the standards, and you're defining the standards, the acceptable levels of quality as required for the what? For the actual objective or the product itself. So you're defining the required level which is deemed fit by the the employer's requirements. Do you understand? So they set a certain standard. Okay, so you as a project team will define all of those standards as defined obviously by the scope of works. Okay, so what you're going to do in that instance is, the reason why you've gone for a prevention is, if you look at any quality aspects of any projects that you're on, usually in a program, and this will relate to every single planner, you need to build your quality into the program. Why do I say that? Because when you define your activities, any activities that require a check, i.e. a sign off, you have to put a QA check activity in the program. Why is that? An inspection test plan is a QA check. After manufacture and you do an inspection test plan, is that not a quality prevention check? If you put an inspection test plan or an inspection or a quality assurance check where two coordinators have to sign, design coordinators have to sign off on a specific drawing. So if the coordinator looks at it and passes it over to the design manager, he then obviously signs it off and sends it off to the client representative, who then signs it off again and approves the what's it called for construction, approves the design for construction, right? And at that point, it goes over to the procurement team, who would then hit the market and try and procure a manufacturer or procure a trade to come and carry out those works up to provide those services, right? So if those drawings obviously hit that trade, they will price it, right? When they've priced it and you okay the price and you award them the tender, they then go to manufacture. Now if, for instance, that drawing does not meet specification of where it is that it's going to get fitted, for instance, now you go and fit a bulkhead, right, in a location where you're going to have electrical pipes being run, but the design coordinator did not spot that, whose fault would it be? Would it be the fault of the manufacturer, or would it be the fault of the main contractor, or would it be the fault of the employer? Whose fault would it be?
Sorry, Steve, repeat it again.
So you guys kept quiet. You didn't even hear the question. I'm saying,
Would it be the contractor or the inspector because they didn't raise it?
the blame will be on the main contractor and the employer, because the main contractor should have spotted that issue, right? So the design team on both parties are at fault. Why? Because if the scope says a particular specification, the structural engineer should have looked at it. The MEP guys should have looked at it as well. Because your locations or your schedule for all of the MEP works will highlight the size of the bulkhead. So the MEP guys obviously will know the bulkhead is a mechanical equipment. The electrical guys will clearly know that, look, this interfaces with our works. So when we're doing our rough-ins, this is going to affect us. So they should have highlighted it. But if they don't now know, and then that bulkhead is delivered to site, the specifications are larger than where it's going to be installed, it will cost a lot more money, obviously, to remanufacture it and also change the design again. So in an instance like that, that could delay works, because if that bulkhead took 10 weeks to manufacture, what that means is you're going to have a 10-week lead time to incorporate into your program if you can't find any other variations to input or to install that bulkhead. Okay, so in a situation like that, you can actually apply for an extension of time as a main contractor, and then you obviously have to go through this process, which is you prepare all these bits here, then you go to establish project budget. All of this stuff is just preliminaries. Yeah, so what you want to be looking at is this part here, the development of the project execution plan and the project risk management plan. In this particular bit, it should have been highlighted in the project risk management plan. If it wasn't highlighted, the moment it becomes apparent, yeah, or the likelihood of occurrence increases to 100%, i.e. the risk has happened, you have to include it in the risk register. You put a description of it, and then you put the actions to avoid or reduce. At this point, you can't avoid it. Why? Because you're now in the mitigation stages. Okay? Because it's actually happened. The risk has materialized. Then, you look at the, what's it called? Here they say preparation of project procurement plan with a clear definition for any long lead items. The item we've just discussed now is a long lead item. So, clearly, we didn't look at the procurement plan, did we? There should have been some sort of flow within the program for this kind of issues. Okay? Now, we move on. In that instance, to prepare it, the first thing you have to do is obviously highlight it as an early warning notice. You discuss it in a risk meeting, call a risk meeting, you discuss it, and then you come up with different options as to how you intend to manage the risk. If it's an issue that it's going to affect, obviously, completion dates, what do? You let the employer know. The employer's project manager would then say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're not apportioning blame to anybody because it's between the contractor and the employer. So between ourselves, we'll decide obviously who was supposed to carry out the activities. So in the contract, if it says that the main contractor carries on the works from stage 4 conceptual design, then the risk is being borne by the contractor. Okay? The reason for that is, if you're novated over at stage 4, that means the development of those drawings to suit the locations in which they're going to go will usually happen from stage 4 to stage 8 during the pre-construction phase, right? So this is why you have to have communication effective back and forth between all teams, i.e. the structural guys and the MEP guys, as well as the architects, the design coordinators, the design managers, etc. Okay? Because this is where you can pick up issues like this and you're able to better manage and control these issues. Alright? 1 second, let me just press record again, yeah? 1 sec. Oh, it's still recording, Okay, so literally, that's where issues like this come up. Okay, I'm not going to really read through this stuff because I'm going to put it on the site. It's on the site already. And you guys just go and read this research paper. Okay, I want us to get stuck into it quickly, and then we'll go to a program and I will highlight how you would prepare one of these extension of time claims. Okay, now here it says, this is all schedule best practice, all the requirements. Confirm all activities have at least one predecessor and a successor, which is basic knowledge for everybody. I could say to you now that even at this current stage in 2017, you still have tier 1 contractors who submit project schedules that have open-ended or dangling activities. You will come across practice like that. But just be prepared, and be prepared to understand the sequencing or the logic of the work so you can tie in. So usually when you have any activities that haven't got successors, you look and make sure that they haven't got any succeeding activities that should follow them. If they do, you connect it to the successor and put a lag on it. Okay, if it finishes earlier. If it finishes closer to the time, do the same thing. As long as that becomes the driving activity, you're golden. Okay? So, here they say confirm at least there's one critical path which has a continuous chain of activities from start to completion. So what I want us to do is to go to a program, yeah? And then we can look at a situation like what we're talking about here. Okay? I'm bringing you onto this program for Chiswick. It's a school program. As you can tell, all of the activities here, let me bring out some columns. What is it? Okay, so here we are. You can see from the progress updates. Let's move the cursor just a little bit. Okay, so if you look through these now, you've got all of the key dates and milestones as we discussed earlier, right? You've got your start date, you've got your end date, contractual, practical completion, as required, then your pre-cons, etc. All of these will be basically long durations. This is a summary bar, as you can tell. You come down here, these are where you have all your milestone dates, etc. Now, looking at this program, the first thing that comes to mind, yeah, is that we have, if you look at it carefully, we have what? We have a lot of constraints all the way through, right? You see that? Can you highlight it? What's the first thing you do? Say for instance you inherited this program and you're asked to come on and do an extension of time claim on this program. What's the first thing you would do? As soon as you open the program, what's the first thing you would do?
Get a touch of so that you can see how line.
And also the baseline
Thank you, Naya.
and baseline variance as well.
You don't start with baseline variance. Reason why is, what if the program doesn't have a baseline? What do you do in that instance if it doesn't have a baseline? If they didn't baseline the program, what happens? Yeah?
Makes sense.
What happens?
You guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly. What happens? If it hasn't got a baseline, what do we do?
What happens if what?
If it hasn't got a baseline, what do we do?
We'll baseline it.
Thank you. Simple. That's it. Simple, done. Okay, so total flow values, as you can see here, right? What's the first thing you can see within this program?
It's behind schedule.
Thank you. Why?
It has a negative flow.
Thank you. So already that tells 1,000 stories, right? And then if you come all the way down here, what does it show? What does it show?
It
You
has
say
flow.
you say
So
you say it's
it has a
behind
lot of
schedule.
flow.
You say it's behind schedule, but then we have 206 days behind schedule, but we have float of 38 days all the way down to 80 to 79 days at the end of the project here, clean and snag. How comes? How is that possible?
Yeah, that's because of the constraints.
Is it just the constraints? Or is there too much float in the program? What do you think?
Well, I think it's as a result of the constraints. So they might be. I'd say it's because of the constraints. Because it means it's not following. It means there's no logic to the sequence of activities.
Of course there is logic to the sequence of activities. There is logic because look, the relationship lines show and you can follow the path. Go to, go to, go to. You can follow a path. You can follow a path.
Yeah, but then the constraint doesn't allow the free flow of that sequence.
True, you're correct. So now that I've taken it off, what can you see? You see that these activities here, right, because they're all connected, finish to start, finish to start, finish to start, and then it ends with an activity that has no successor. What that tells you is that this activity here, if you can see, is 206 days. So if you do a backward pass, the float is calculated with all of these. All their floats will be the same. And it's the same with this activity as well. Anything that has no successor immediately will tell you that all of these predecessors will carry the same amount of total floats. So in this instance, the first thing that you do, you pulled out first of all the total float column, you pull out the primary constraints column. The next thing you do is what? Come on, guys. Open-ended activities. You look at all the activities that have open ends to see the predecessor successors. Yeah? So, these are all the activities with open ends. Look. Basically, what you do is all of these first activities are summary bars. Yeah? So forget about these first activities. They're just summary bars, yeah? As you can tell, summary bar there, summary bar there. So it's summing all of the total durations, the actuals, the percent complete, etc. Alright, but if you look at these ones now, look, all of them, no successes, no successes, no successes. You see it? In an instance like this, what do you do with all of these activities? What do you do?
You pin them to the end date.
Thank you.
You peg them to the end.
So, you select, right? 1 minute. Because you need to be able to schedule this program. If you can't schedule it, you have a big problem, right? You're not going to be able to calculate your accurate total flow values because you need your total flow values to do a Windows analysis. By Windows analysis, I mean if you take, for instance, you have 3 baseline updates, right? And the delay happened in between baseline 1 and baseline 2. What you then do is you will take the total flow values from baseline 1 and baseline 2 and work out what the variance is and look when exactly it started to go towards a minus or negative figure. And it is at that point you look at the reason why and the activities that preceded in the activity path. Okay? Now, we will do an example as soon as we tie up these open-ended activities. Okay, first things first, let's just select all. Is someone walking around? Is that the final date? Yes, it is. So we select it and it goes as the successor. So just a second, please. These all start on site dates. All of these, every single one of these should be connected to the what's it called? Every single one of them, literally. So we might as well just select all and send them all the way down, right? Because these are all pre-commencement activities. So this clearly tells you this is an NEC3 contract. Do you understand? If an NEC3 contract like this has got open-ended activities, be it milestones or actual task dependent activities, that clearly tells you that we have a major programming issue. Look at this here. Concrete star flight superstructure. Why is this not connected to a successor activity? So already you can see where you're going to envisage a lot of encounter a lot of problems with programs. So you'd have to spend your time knowing what exactly it is you're looking at within the program in order for you to fix it before you can then start to do your extension of time. Because if the program is not accurate, your total float values, which is the key most important thing when you're doing these analysis, yeah? So let's just say, for instance, now we'll come out of this program, yeah, because it has too many open ends. I want to use a program that doesn't have any open ends but has delay within it, yeah, to make it easier for us. Is everybody understanding the whole concept of EOT?
Yep.
Can I get some feedback, please? Is everybody understanding the concept of EOT? You're going to have to, at some point in your planning career, you're going to have to perform these tasks. This is what separates you from any type of basic planner, basically. Do you understand? Sama, sorry, I just saw what you wrote at 7:49. Prevention is more proactive, yes, while inspection involves taking remedial actions after the risk event. Thank you very much. That's the perfect answer. That is the perfect answer. So if you select a prevention strategy, what that means is you're taking the adequate measures prior to the event actually materializing. So you know that it is a residual risk, so it has a high probability of occurrence. So you will take all the measures, you will implement QA checks within the program, which means you're building quality into the program. You're making sure that the program has all of the requirements as per the contractual obligations. That's literally what it means. Okay, so here we are. This is a very good example of an extension of time program. Yeah, we will analyze the total float values, which we can see already as -8, which means it is 8 days off its required what? It was supposed to finish when exactly? Here we've got the 2nd of October and we've got the 3rd of October. So the first thing you would do in an instance like this is go to the project, right? Select which project it is and look at what the base dates are. This one here. It was supposed to finish September 18, but it's actually finishing October 18. So that means it's a good 10 days out, 10 working days out. Okay, and you can see that 10 working days in these total flow values here, right? So if you look at the 2nd of October, you click the 2nd of October, you count back how many days that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What date was it? We said the September, wasn't it? The 23rd of September?
21st.
21st, yeah? First, yeah? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because it says it finishes on the 3rd of October. 3rd of October here. Yeah? So, we can see why that is important. So you have to have a predefined delivery date. So if there are any delays and you've got a practical completion date now. So this is really good, yeah? We've got a practical completion date of the 2nd of October. And we've got a closeout and handover delivery date of the 2nd of October. What does that immediately tell you in reference to clause 31.2 in the NEC3 contract? What is this telling you? You're a planner, you're a technical planner, you understand the NEC3 contract. Can everybody just please try and participate and give me your analytical mind perspective to what we have just highlighted?
That the PC dates are correct. This is the practical completion date, the same as the closeout and handover.
Okay, next person. Next person, please.
That's a reflection of your terminal float.
Okay. What about the terminal float?
The practical completion is supposed to be your what's the word again now? Program completion date.
Okay. All right. We've got 3 people who have answered now. Can a 4th person please give us an answer? In terms of the NEC3 contract.
You've eaten into your
Go on, say it. Complete your sentence now. You've eaten into your what?
into the contractor's terminal float.
Thank you very much. Now, prior to that, thank you. So Salma and Naya have explained it in the context that I would like to hear it as one of the project team or the management team, right? Or the representative of the employer. I.e., the terminal flow is the margin, the difference between practical completion and the delivery date, the project handover date. Clearly from this date here, Samara said completion date equals planned completion date. This suggests that the contractor has no flexibility in terms of time. Very correct. Naya said the contractor is eating into their total float, so they have little or no total float left, right? Obi mentioned the total float but didn't exactly go into the context. So we want the context. Remember I said the word context. So you have to explain this to me in terms of you as a planner, right? You discuss in terms of the total float values. You discuss in terms of the contractual requirements, which is the margins of, give a definition of the terminal float, and relate terminal float to practical completion and against closeout and handover date. Clause 31.2. That's all this is. So you've already shown the quality requirements. You've incorporated quality into the program by inputting activities as required by the NEC Free Contract 31.2 clause. Now, as the technical planner, you've looked at the total flow values equals 0 for these two activities. Terminal float is 0. Contractor is late. Clearly is late because you've pulled out the total float values and it's minus 10. So you already can see that you're performing a health check on the program and you can clearly see that it's out of sequence. So this would obviously tell you that in terms of delivery of this project is in trouble. Yes or no? How do we then recover the time?
Optimize the project.
Okay, so what does optimization mean? Can you provide us with a definition of optimization?
We either parallel some of the activities, or we increase or we double up on the resources.
Okay, so can you kindly give us the definitions, give us the terminology? We want to work and get used to using terminology here. We want to accelerate it or we want to crash the critical path, right? Okay, can you hold on a second? Okay, so what I'm trying to pull out now is the where is it now? The practical completion, blah blah blah. I've just lost track of what I was trying to pull out now for you guys. Okay, let's go back down. You can see what it is. Okay, yep. I've got it. Yes. Hello?
If you're on practical completion date, can you hear me?
Yeah, go on. If your practical completion date, yeah, go on, Niall, we're listening. Naya? Have we lost her? Naya, type what your question is. Type your question. Type it so everybody can see it. Can everybody see the text message area of the screen? Cecil. Cecil, are you with us? Who can still hear me?
I can.
Obi.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello? Cecil. Cecil. Naya.
I can hear you though.
Okay, guys, if you've come off, kindly try your best to connect back to us. Okay? We need everybody to be back on because I won't be repeating this class. So whoever's come off, try and make sure that you can connect back, please. One second, guys, yeah? Let me just phone each and every individual so they can confirm they can come back on. This is the time you guys can ask questions whilst we're waiting to confirm everybody on there.
Sorry, can I just ask? You said there were three things you mentioned. Yeah. You said when you spot a program with irregular flow.
Yeah?
You said check for open-ended activities.
Yep.
1, check for constraints, and then 3, you said check for what? I think I missed that.
Come again.
You said when you spot a program that has irregular flow, you said just like we saw.
Yes.
You said check for 3 things. You said check for 1, open-ended activities. 2, check for constraints, but I missed the third one.
Okay, so check for constraints, check for open-ended activities, pull out the calendars, check if there are any constraints at the start of the project. So any hard constraints must finish by, right? And then also check the terminal flow. Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the key main things. And then you can also look at this, the calendar as well. As you can tell, the calendar is a 6-day week. So in order for you to accelerate this program, it's highly unlikely that you're going to be able to get a 7-day a week. Why? Because of the statutory notifications, the road closures, the road permits, working weekend permits, i.e. the Sunday permits. A lot of councils will not allow it. Also, you have to get road closure permits in terms of your delivery schedules to sites. You know, you might have site delivery issues in terms of logistics issues. You might have to sequence your deliveries to early daytime before the road actually becomes high use. You know, there are so many different permutations that will go into your strategy for trying to crawl back time. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, we will take a break when it hits 1 hour, and then you guys can ask questions. Okay? And then we'll continue the EOT claims. Okay? So we'll take a break just so we can stop the video for a part 2. So you guys can ask questions straight after. Okay? Because I don't want the video to be too big, because we're gonna have a problem trying to get it onto the well, not the site. We'd have to get it onto YouTube, and then obviously link it into the site, basically, because we need to dig down into the EOT preparation pack. Yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna sign off the video. Guys, just wait there, yeah? I'm gonna stop the video recording, and then you can ask questions. Everyone, please try and just ask questions, okay? And if your questions are not showing on the screen, if you can't type them, put the questions in the WhatsApp group, and they will be answered on screen here. So I will speak out the questions and then answer them as well. Okay? Just so we don't waste video recording time. Thank you.